the damn TV.
You're live.
Hello and welcome live to Talledega Super Speedway, where the ITSR Twisted Cup Series, sponsored by Axio Sanitary Services, is here for the big one. Hopefully not the big wreck, but the big race. Talledega again, 2.5-mile racetrack. And up in the booth with me tonight, Evan Pasoko as always, and of course MW, Michael Willie himself down there pushing the buttons for us in the production studios here on MW Productions. Evan, tonight's Talledega, but we have to go back to Richmond, where it was, oh man, right? That's just the lack of better words there. CJ LaVere would win it after leading 73 laps. Stefan Marinac would finish second. Third belonged to Scott Simley. LD Sarabea finished fourth. Jay Horton rounded out the top five there at Richmond.
Yeah, other guys up there, Matt Lacrosse, he was up at the front of the field a little bit, comes home in the number 6 spot, leading 4 laps himself. Also having Rich Jett able to come home in position number 7. Nathan Little coming home in 8th after starting in the 14th position. He was the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Jay Rendell Watkins comes home 1 lap down in 9th, and Brian Harvey could round out the top 10 after a rough night, finishing 13 laps down, but able to pick up that top 10 spot.
And you mentioned Matt Lacrosse, who finished 6th last week, just enough for CJ LaVere to reclaim the points lead coming into tonight at Talledega. He's up on the bubble, 3 points up on Matt Lacrosse. Matt still trying to find that first win. Stefan Marinac, also another driver trying to find his first win, is in 3rd. Jose Gonzalez with 3 wins is in 4th. Brian Harvey rounds out your top 5. He's 43 points back from the leader.
Yeah, and then just 1 point back from him, John Wilco sitting 6th. That's 44 points back. 7th in the championship standing. Stephen Herring, 54 back from CJ LaVere at the top of that pile. You also got guys like Douglas Wyatt, Brandon Turco, and again Frank Coons. These guys between 80 and 100 points back. So right now, realistically, you could call it the top 4 within a race, and everybody else looking on the outside in, and we're starting to close in on the end of this first segment.
Yes, we are. In fact, it started out back in February 25th, where we had the Beach Bum 84. Then we went to the Phoenix to the Snake Bite 114. Third week, we went to Vegas, the Gambler 104. Fourth week, went to Bristol, the Quick Bump and Run 134. Back in March 25th, was the Cali Surf Shop 84. Paperclip at Martinsville. Texas Shootout, what a good one it was. It was back in April of 8th. Darlington Stripe was the next race. Richmond, back on the 29th of April. And now tonight, Talledega, the War Eagle 84. Of course, next week, the 13th, we'll go to the Wizard 94 at Kansas, and then rounding out the House of Charlotte. Some say it the House of Jimmy Johnson. Now they're calling it the House of Charlotte Oval. So there's a quick run schedule where we've been and where we're going. And tonight it's Talledega. It's anyone's race. And so far, 18 drivers qualified or practiced and 17 qualified. And with that said, we won't spoil it yet who got the pole. We'll go to the promo video and then to the national anthem, and you'll find out your starting lineup here tonight.
New shoes, yeah, I don't know where I'm going to. Still soon, time, yeah, I don't need a reason why. Come running just as fast as they can. But every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. Watch, diamond ring. Well, I ain't missing on a single thing. stick pin. And I still fight, I'm gonna do you in. They come running just as fast as they can.
Hey, look here, beavers. You better hide your wives, hide your husband, and look here, both of you hide your kids, because we're coming.
Every girl's crazy about a shot-dressed man. Top coat, top hat, and I don't worry 'cause my wallet's fat. Black shades, black gloves, looking sharp, looking for love. They come running just as fast as they can. Every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. Make some noise! Clean shirt, new shoes, and I don't know where I'm going to. Silk suit, black tie, and I don't need a reason why. They come running just as fast as they can. Every girl's crazy about it. Thank you.
Welcome back live, where the qualifying has just been completed. And here's your starting lineup for tonight's War Eagle 84 at Talledega. CJ LaVere takes the pole. Jose Gonzalez to the outside right.
Take a look at row number 2, third starting positioning belonging to the 66 of Brian Harvey, about 1/100th off of those guys up on the front row. Alongside him going to be Matt Lacrosse, and the 21 going to be rolling off in fourth.
Fifth quickest is the 37 car of Ben Burnett. To his outside, the 68 Scott Simley.
Rich Jett going to be starting 7th, and his number 36 on the inside of row number 4, and Stefan Marinak and a 24 going to be starting 8th.
Rolling off 9th is the 77 machine of J. Randall Watkins, and the 3 car of Scott Brotherton rolls off 10th.
Row 6 inside, the 43 of Doug Roth can occupy position number 11, and alongside him is the 11 of LD Sarabia, going to be starting in 12th.
Claiming the 13th spot is Chad Schilling in that 35 machine. Claiming the 14th spot is the 47 of Luis Rodriguez.
Douglas White, Hippie Doug at a number 5 machine starting in 15th, and alongside him going to be Frank Coons in the 48 starting in 16th.
Edison Lima Jr., the number 19 machine, last to take time for tonight at Talledega, will roll off 17th. And 18th position belongs to the 62 machine of John Wilco.
And the one and only car on row 10 going to round out your 19 car field here this evening. Stephen Herring in the 98 going to be starting in P19.
And all drivers, all cars are on the racetrack. We will not see anyone start from the pit road area. Now, Evan, Talledega, somewhat of a tandem type racetrack now still. For the most part last night, and for what I've seen all season long, Talledega still offers the double wide group racing that we all love and come to have enjoyed. But there are 19 vehicles, 19 cars on the track, so someone is without a partner, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and definitely these Gen 6 cars, it offers a little bit more of pack racing, you could say, but the ability to kind of hook up and get going is there. Now, will they do it early? I don't think so. It's going to be 84 laps on the board this evening. The track, 2.66 miles, do the math. That's 223 miles before we reach the checkered flag here this evening. A long race. You got to keep those engine temperatures down. You really don't want to be risking it and overheating that engine early on in the going here. So, I mean, play it easy, do a little bit of pack racing, ride around, but I definitely can guarantee you come down to that checkered flag, you know you're coming in maybe within the final 5 laps or so, and you're definitely going to see those guys hooked up. So as long as you can relatively stay with the group, I don't really think we're going to see anybody drop back unless they feel like it's getting pretty crazy to want to drop back. But pack and tandem race, I think we're going to see a 50-50 split of the two here tonight.
And of course, the big one. There's always the big one here at Talledega. And sometimes it doesn't have to happen within the last 5-10 laps of the race. Most of the time, it can happen in the early part of the race or the mid part of the race. So there's no safe lap-wise that you can be in. So any lap, it can happen.
Yeah, and that's a risk versus reward. You mentioned that nobody started from pit road. Sometimes you may see somebody start from there, try to let this race progress and try to survive to get to the end. You may see a couple guys drop back. 19 cars, not that big of a field. I think you may see most of these guys stick up front. Field coming now through, and a pace car going to drop down to the safety of pit road. Field is going to be hands of CJ LaVere as we enter the tri-oval.
CJ LaVere in the blue and yellow machine that you see to the bottom. Coming to a slow but steady green flag here. And we're underway. CJ LaVere takes us to the green flag where he's got wingman Jose Gonzalez to the outside. Behind him will be the 21 car of Matt Lacrosse in that quick car racing product Chevy. Rolling through 1 and 2 here.
Two cars trying to push on the top lane. You got the 26, Jose Gonzalez, with the 21 of Matt Lacrosse behind him. Inside, a little bit more of a line, everybody bumper to bumper. The 4 is leading that charge. That's CJ LeVere. Remember, he started on pole position, so that's why he has that inside lane. Brian Harvey behind him started third, so no real large position swaps right now. It looks like almost 2 sets of 2 up at high lane as the 68 Assembly and the 24 of Merrimack kind of join in. But 4 cars door to door coming off of turn number 4. It's going to be a race to see who can lead lap 1, and it looks like Jose's got a nose out in front.
For the time being, now CJ LeVere comes up with a little bit of strength there right at the last second to lead your first lap here at Talledega. Green flag still, obviously, and everyone is still side by side. Nobody's lost the front pack draft just yet, although John Wilco is the one that's dangerously losing it. He's back there trying to hang on to the draft there in 19th spot. Meanwhile, they're 2 rows deep all the way through the top 10 back to 11th, where in that Ford 43 machine, as we've got some great racing early on here at Talledega.
Yeah, 17 of the 19 cars on our racetrack within a second of each other as they run right now. You see, again, nobody really moving from the high lane to the bottom. Everyone just kind of riding around. But if you're a guy like that 66 or the 21, you see those guys both second in line. There's a little bit of a wiggle for those guys on the high side. That's hard because you got to stay as close to the guy's bumper in front of him. You can't turn them. And you can't check up too much because you'll get turned from behind. So really, you just got to go with the flow and stay in line. And that's exactly what Brian Harvey and the 21 of Matt Lacrosse have to do, because they are right in the thick of things. You see the drivers, they kind of swerve a little bit coming off too, try to stay in line with those guys in front of them as they now go down the back straightaway back into turn number 3, and still side by side for the guys on the front row. CJ LeVere with the advantage on corner entry.
That high lane now coming back a little bit as the 21 car of Matt Lacrosse has to let out of the throttle just a little bit, and we'll see that a lot tonight. Breathing the throttle, rolling out, allowing the car to settle back down, bring the heat back down on the pressures of the oil and the water. And hopefully, Evan, it's kind of tricky sometimes when we do the swaps. Now, you can kind of tell that tandem racing is kind of gone away with, because you remember back in the old days when everyone would swap, no matter what. I mean, as soon as you'd start getting overheated, you'd see them swap. Now, they just let out the throttle and kind of stay behind there. Everybody still stays behind everybody. You don't see a lot of swapping.
And that's because you don't see the guys glued on that bumper again. It is still possible, but definitely when the Gen 6 came out, it gave a little bit more of a different aspect to just restrictor plate racing on iRacing to try to make it more similar to the NASCAR Cup cars, how you really cannot hook up and get going. And that's effectively what they've done. But you would see the top 2 guys, say that 4 and the 66, they'd get bumper hooked and they'd take off and they'd gain about half a second. Then they'd have to switch. The field would catch up on them, and it would be a constant back and forth in that regards. You see the 21 and 26 pushing that high side right now. Look how much faster they are than those guys on the bottom. You can push, but not for long. I think we're going to see these guys drop down to the bottom. Yes, they do. And it's going to be Jose Gonzalez to the number 1 spot as the 21 of Lacrosse. You see, it's faster pushing, but you can't do that all race long. You'll see it in little spurts, but see, they got to back off right now. If it was the old style tandem racing, they'd go for about a lap or 2 and then continuously switch. But they push for a little bit, try to make a run, get back in line, and then try to maintain.
You're right, they got down quick, and look what LeVere and Simley did. They just went right to the high side there. And now Simley, with a freight train to the outside, is going to push C.J. LeVere back towards the lead, but help came from Stefan Marinac. Also on the outside is the 3 of Scott Brotherton and the 11 machine of LD Sarabea. So a little bit of a train, if you will, on the outside here with 4 cars down to the bottom and 5 at the top as C.J. LeVere now slams the door on Jose Gonzalez in 3.
Yeah, remember those guys pulled down in front of CJ. CJ went to the high side. Now we see him back on the inside lane, and Jose, who was just leading, finds himself now the second car in line on the bottom lane, and it looks like Scott Simley going to have the advantage on the top lane with help from the 24 of Stefan Marinac. Those guys going to get around again. They hook up for a little bit, pull down in front now out of the inside line, and they're going to be P1 and 2, the first 2 cars on that inside line as they go right now. The double file starting to slowly fall apart. Again, they were pretty much door to position, kind of like they were on the initial grid for a few laps. Now you still see them side by side. There's a lot more strategy. Look at that, 24 of Marinac to the inside. Jose Gonzalez wants to go with him. He's going to leave CJ LaFair. We got two sets of tandems up at the front of the field trying to push into 3.
And you could just tell how much faster, like you said, cars are with someone right up tucked under them nice and pretty as the Don Q Chevy of Jose Gonzalez pushes Marinac to the lead from second to first. And Jose going from 5th to 2nd here as those guys rocketing 201 miles an hour down the front stretch of Talledega, nearly hitting 202 in the corner of 1.
The 4-car breakaway, and then we find the side-by-side battle for positions 5 on back, led by the 3 of Brotherton. 3 wide now as the 37 sticks his nose out to the high side. That is Ben Burnett to no prevail because the guys on the inside of him, both lanes, a little bit of contact pushing each other, so Burnett's going to have to pull back in line and try to take another shot at it. In an ideal situation, he would have had somebody to help him, tried to make a move, tried to avoid after the checkup, losing his momentum, not able to do so, drops back in line, no harm, no foul, able to maintain. However, those top guys starting to try to pull away with that tandem drafting style. You see Jose Gonzalez pushing on Stefan Marinac. Now they go into turns number 1 and 2. The 26 has to go high. He's got to get air through to that engine and cool it down if he wants to be able to keep going here. And then you're going to see everybody else start to group back up behind him, behind that Don Q Chevrolet of Jose Gonzalez on the top lane.
CJ LaFair continuing to work with him, and now he gets kind of shuffled out to the outside there. I think he was going to try to come down low, but Marinac was there as the front drivers here have kind of checked out, and there's nearly a second pack now as LD Serbia leads that one with Matt Lacrosse behind him. This is the battle for 5th, actually, but LD being shown in 7th right now, as now they will catch this front pack. Look how quick they caught 203, nearly 204 into turn 1 right there.
And again, these top 4 were pulling away, but now we see the rest of the field start to group up and catch them, as you mentioned, led by that 11 of LD Serbia, because they have kind of negotiated out. Those top guys, they pushed a little bit, they had to back off, they had to calm down, and then because of that, it allowed the rest of the pack, which has a little bit more speed in the draft, to catch back up to them, and that's once again created this pretty much one group. 2 cars have dropped significantly off the pace. 2 cars 11 seconds back. They're backed out of it. Douglas Wyatt and Edison Lima Jr., the 5 machine at a 19, sitting 18th and 19th on the racetrack, 11 seconds back, not pushing with each other, however, so if we stay under a long green flag run, which with this amount of cars is definitely possible, then they could be at a risk of possibly losing a lap. And it was not intentional, the fact that they lost their lap. The 19 got into the wall after making contact with the 5, and I believe the 5 dropped back almost as a sort of apology to try to pick him up. So we'll have to see if those guys are able to hang on as they lose another 2 seconds that lap. But number 4 machine trying to look back to the front. It's CJ LaFair on the inside, able to get to the number 1 spot. And that top lane's checking up, a lot of contact up there for those first 3 guys up high.
As we go 11 laps into the race at Talledega Super Speedway, we're going to take you to your first commercial break. You're watching MW Productions, where things are starting to get a little bit heated up here towards the front at Talledega. You're watching again the MW Productions live coverage of the ITSR Twisted Cup Series. back live here at Talledega. Single file for the first two guys at least, as CJ Lavere and Jose Gonzalez now separate coming off the corner here to complete lap 15 out of 84 laps. And so we're probably, I'd say, Evan, if they were to pit and if this thing were staying green, I think they'd try to probably cut this in half, so we wouldn't see them probably until, what, lap 44, something like that, lap 42.
You're definitely going to be on the bond to get a smaller field for the Siemens race. Again, only 19 cars, and again, a couple of those guys pretty far behind. Edison Lima Jr., the 19, he has pitted. He's a lap down, which leaves Douglas Wyatt, who essentially dropped back to pick him up, up the creek without a battle. He's 22 seconds back. There's nobody near him. So you look at our leaders running 48-second lap times. It's not going to be too long till they pass him. He still has nobody that he could really get to for some assistance right now. And if he doesn't see a caution, that 5 is going to see his hopes slip away after the 19 car has to pit, which was the only car that was near him, as those two guys had to drop back after a little bit of contact earlier on.
Ooh, buddy. I nearly thought I was just about to see Brian Harvey get wasted into the wall there out of turn 3. But he was able to keep the car off the wall, obviously, as now he's got some push from the 35 of Chad Schilling. Looking back here in 14th spot where Luis Rodriguez runs, look at that paint job on that Toyota Camry. Muscular development on the front of that machine. And of course, always sporting the good-looking woman on the back. Stargazing, you call that, Evan?
It's one way to look at it.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you got Stephen Herring that's back there in that Wanderer's back Chevy. Look at him. He's got his window
Kurt
full
Busch
of the
design.
Yeah, Kurt Busch design. Yep. And he's got his window full of that Fearless Racing machine of Frank Coons in front of him, who's running 13th. And these guys aren't separating at all. They're still outside about 4, 5, 6 rows deep.
I thought you were going to say he's got a Fig Newton sticker on his windshield. What I thought you were going to be referencing to.
Well, he could have that.
He just can't see it. Some sort of hack.
Really small.
Yeah.
Michael Woolley, of course, always with something to say. I never know if the broadcast can hear him or not.
No, that's why if we're having a conversation with him, they are so lost.
Yeah, I
Because
know
he can just say whatever he wants, and we sound like the idiots.
Yeah, I know.
Talking
Last night he said something, and I was thinking, I wonder if they can hear you, because if I respond to you and like I'm answering a question, then they're gonna think that I'm talking to myself.
He can talk, and they won't hear him, but they hear you when you forget to push the whisper button on the commercial.
Yeah.
Which we've seen a couple of times. So don't leave when we do the commercial breaks, because the entertainment is all night.
Oh, you're not kidding. The things that go on behind the scenes of a great broadcast crew, I tell you, these guys wouldn't even know the half of it. As Scott Simley now controls the lead here at Talledega, with the help of the 21 machine of Matt Lacrosse, another Fearless Racing Chevy. He's got his teammate passing him underneath. That's CJ Lavere. Now the 11 car, LD puts his nose up underneath Matt Lacrosse with the help of J. Randall Watkins in the 77. Here we are, 4 rows, 2 deep.
Yeah, they all kind of start to separate a little bit, and then they scrunch up, and right now, very close quarters racing. The 26 has a bit of car length over the side-by-side right behind him. And now you see the kind of fan out coming out of 4. The 4 machine of CJ Lavere looks to the high side on the 26. So there's no real loyal or no companionship between guys. Obviously, you got your teammates in the mix, and you drive with your teammate, but you can see that they're not afraid to step out to the next lane and try to get up to the number 1 spot, because in the end, again, you are going for individual drivers' points as well. So you see it right now, again, 2 wide and almost 2 sets of 2 cars up at a high lane. You got the 4 and 68. The 4 drops back down to get back with the 26 of Jose Gonzalez, who he was just behind not too long ago. And now you see the high side going to get the advantage. So back and forth, and that's why at Talledega, you're probably going to see the most lead changes out of any race all season.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is what makes Talledega fun, because everybody gets a shot at it. Everybody gets a shot to lead the race here. As now CJ Lavere takes back over, obviously, again, like you said, a lot of lead changes. A broken record possibly tonight with that, as we've got one driver that is 3 laps down. Edison Lemon Jr.
We've had in the range of about 5 different people to be up at a number 1 spot so far, and 14 times has that number 1 spot been exchanged. And we are just past the quarter way through this race. So again, a lot of opportunity here, and everybody going to get a shot at this one for sure. But you can't ignore CJ Lavere. He's been up there after starting on pole. He's led his share of laps. He's been working pretty consistently with Jose Gonzalez, another car that we've seen up there. Scott Simley in the 68 has actually dropped back quite a bit to 8th. He's going to go from top 3 to 8th on that 1 lap. Shows you how quickly. And we got 3 wide. Back of the pack is the 43 of Roth. Tucks back down into the middle lane as he was the 3rd lane. The only car up there really didn't stand a chance, so pulls back down in the draft. But again, still top 17 drivers within 1.5 seconds of each other. 3 wide up front. It's Schilling on the high side. Can he get it done?
And the man in the middle is Jose Gonzalez, the hot dog between the buns. 3 up in the wall. That's Brotherton now. Burnett sticks his nose into the middle. 3 wide. 2 rows deep. 3 wide coming off 4.
The racing like is the final lap. This is the middle lane with the speed. 26 Jose Gonzalez with help from the 37 machine of Ben Burnett going to go to the lead. And then you see Simley. He wants to make the middle lane work. He's going to shoot up the middle. And here comes the 21 of Matt Lacrosse as well with help from Rich Jett. Rich Jett trying to make his way up here to the front. And Chad Schilling, the one that wanted to start that charge on the outside lane, is going to drop way back outside of the top 10 after the guy that was pushing him, that 3 machine of Brotherton, kind of caught the wall in 3 and 4 and killed all their momentum. And they're going to have to make that all back up once again as the leaders performing almost a switch of sorts as they go in there 2 wide, and Jose pulls up behind Ben Burnett. And then we see the 68 Assembly go back to the number 1 spot.
Wow, what a move those middle lane drivers put on that inside and outside lane drivers. Wow. Talk about speed through the middle there. But all that's over with. What a nice little 3 wide battle there for about a half of a lap. I mean, we had all kinds of drivers going 3 wide. Now it's kind of fanned back out to single file, although Burnett and Jose Gonzalez are hooked up to the outside. Ben Burnett going to lead at Talledega for the first time tonight as he'll put that Fearless Racing black and blue trim numbered Chevy to the front.
On the high side, but once again, it is the Red Bull Ford on the inside trying to get back up there. Scott Simley led the last time by. Do we see another lead change this lap? I do believe so, because Jose is able to get to Ben Burnett's back. Number 36 is going to make it 3 wide. That forces the 26 high. 4 wide maybe. Look at the 36. Rich Jett wants this thing. He's going to slice and dice through the field. He's now at a number 1 spot. Now the 4 machine of CJ Lavere. He finds himself in the middle of the Earnhardt sucker hole. Can he make it work? He's trying to get dragged off the 26 in front of him, with the 26 more up to the high side where that 3rd lane is. CJ Lavere looking for somewhere to go, and now up front the 68's going to step out on Burnett, and Simley wants the number 1 spot.
Now Ben Burnett forces the 3 wide action to the outside at Talledega. Simley in the middle. Rich Jett to the bottom, 21 car, Matt Lacrosse down to the bottom, the 3 wides off of turn 4. Jose trying to determine who to go with. Simley all by himself. Meanwhile, Ben Burnett's got help from Don Q.
just a quarter way through this race and long three-wide action and aggressive moves to get to the number one spot, but Rich Jet able to get it done. Floor three wide. It's the 43 of Doug Roth in the middle. Look at this pack. Three wide, about 3 rows deep. Schilling finds himself right in the middle, who not too long ago was on the outside trying to make it work, stalled, and lost 10 spots in 1 lap. He's trying to charge back through, and now Rich Jet real slow down the back as the big push is going to be on the high side, and now Matt Lacrosse to the number one spot with help from those guys behind him. The 43 of Roth also trying to get something working on the high side as well. Get another lead change. Looks like that 21 going to be up to P1.
The usual at Talledega. This is not, for the most part, the side-by-side racing uncommon, but the 3 wide for so long without having an incident is somewhat uncommon. And I think we've pretty much seen it all here within the last 10 to 15 laps, except for something that no one wants to see, and that's that yellow. I want to see some green flag pit stops now. I don't want to jinx anybody here. Usually when I go to start talking about the yellow flag or green flag pit stops, 5 seconds later someone's spinning.
Yeah, now again we've strung out to back where our double wide, very spread out again on 1.5 seconds now separating these guys in the lead draft, and not too long ago it was much less than that. We are closing on Douglas Wyatt. Douglas Wyatt is just on the horizon as his number 5 machine again all by himself without any drafting help just comes out of 2. The field going significantly faster than him by somewhere in the range of 10 miles an hour as we are side by side down the back straightaway. It's the Godzilla machine. 10 days till that movie comes out. I've been keeping track. 36 of Rich Jet in the number 1 spot with help from the 77 of J. Randall Watkins trying to make the high side work. Better pray these guys on a 3 wide when we catch that 5 though.
Yeah, exactly. If you're that lap car down like Douglas Wyatt is so close to being, you gotta wonder where he's gonna go, top, middle, bottom. At any rate, it's gonna definitely force a 3 wide situation. But these guys have pretty much documented that they can handle the 3 wide racing here. Evan is the man who's out front currently. Matt Lacrosse leading. Scott Simley, 36. Rich Jet trying to mount up another charge on the outside here. Coming into turn 3 at the line will be 31 laps completed. Closing in ever so closely to the green flag pit stops perhaps, and the halfway century mark.
Matt Lacrosse led last time by, but man, it's always the 68. The 68 moving forward and backwards. Scott Simley, he hasn't really been able to hang on to the number 1 spot. He'll sneak up there, lead it for 1 lap, drop back, and then you'll see him in 2 more laps getting a nice shove from somebody. Not able to get it that time by. Matt Lacrosse still your leader that last time by the start-finish line. But again, now we've seen these guys have squished back in together in the top 15 within 0.8 of a second of each other down the back straightaway. So it's fluctuating the way this pack likes to act, and now I think we're going to see these top 2 guys slide down in front of our leaders. Yes, they do. In a couple more laps, or maybe even less than a lap, you're going to see somebody else trying to make a charge. It's going to be the 36. He doesn't go down with them, kind of fakes him out. They got to get around that lap machine of the 5, though. Here we go, 3 wide around the slow car.
3 wide, here we go. Like you said, J. Randall Watkins in the middle. The 5 car doing an outstanding job of staying way up high. That's Douglas Wyatt. 3 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide, clear, clear, clear. They'll clear him. No harm, no foul, right?
They're able to do so without a major incident, and the good thing for Douglas Wyatt is he's most likely going to be able to hang on to this draft of cars. So if we do see a caution, we may be able to maintain that 1 lap down position. We are going to step away, take another quick commercial break, and green flag continues. You're watching the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday nights on MW Productions. More from Talledega after this.
where survival is the only rule and feelings have no place, where winning is everything and weakness is fatal. How much difference can one person make? That depends on the person. In every life, there is a line that cannot be crossed without leaving everything behind, except faith. Once that step is taken, there is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny. There is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny.
Back live where green flag pit stops have just started and underway, where most of the top front drivers are in the box. Right side's going up on most of the vehicles. Now left side's going up on the machine of the 66 of Harvey. So he'll be a little bit slow coming out of the pit road, but nonetheless, everyone else taking right sides only. Green flag pit stops again underway. Your new leader is Ben Burnett, as he'll now come down pit road. I have to remind everyone that everybody got on pit road for the most part safely. And here, the second round of pit stops, everyone pretty safely on pit road as well.
Yeah, the last 7 cars coming down here in this second group into pit road. You talked about some guys doing 2, some guys doing 4. You kind of want to make a little bit of a strategy with at least 1 car so that you don't leave pit road without any help. Ben Burnett, who entered pit road first, sitting in a stall, no tires, gas only for the 37 and out. And now we're going to have to see how these guys square up with this pack of cars that is already pitted that are now heading into the trial, already up the speed.
Yep, and we've already seen a couple of drivers with the first group that pitted separated from each other big time. Some without drafting partners, and that's where you can get into some trouble. This second group of pit stops, Ben Burnett had such a great stop that he's about 20 car lengths in front of Jose Gonzalez and Rich Jett, who pitted with him, and they'll hook up and leave Burnett without a partner as Scott Simley and C.J. LeVere pass by those guys, so they will be your new leaders when it cycles back around. Currently your leader, though, on the racetrack is, well, it's still showing Ben Burnett there.
These guys are going to come around scoring, going to update, and I do believe it will put Scott Simley up into the number 1 position. He has CJ Lavere behind him. These two guys have been up at the front of this race pretty much since its start, and this time by UC scoring does update. Simley moves high, CJ Lavere goes low, and the 21 of Matt Lacrosse going to join him on the inside lane, along with Doug Roth. Doug Roth couldn't really make it up to the top. He was in the lead draft the whole time, and now he finds himself in this 4-car breakaway, top 4 cars, which means both those guys have a drafting partner, and then 1.4 seconds back is 5th on back, led by the duo of Ben Burnett and Jose Gonzalez, the 36 of Rich Jet tagging along. So we started off with some pack racing. Looks like we may see a little bit of tandem racing for those top positions for a little bit.
And now it looks like Rich Jet is starting to lose that draft, Evan. He was right hooked onto the back of Gonzalez, and Gonzalez and Burnett just pulled away. Look at that, 204 miles an hour coming into turn 1. Them two hooked up by themselves. Wow. Little third group, Evan. Look, third group back here, 8th place.
Yeah, it's really spread us out, and I think it comes down to, you said you saw a couple guys taking 4, a couple guys taking 2. That's about a 6-second variation between 4 tires and 2, and then we also saw guys take none. So you got to think, you got a packet full of fuel. You sit down there, maybe you're in the middle of 2-4 tires, so some of these guys may have a little bit more, a little bit less fuel than each other. They pitted short of the halfway point. So did they calculate that so that they'd make it right to the finish? They don't have to, account for a green-white checker, but they spent, well, obviously the guys that are further ahead, probably the guys on 2, and then that third group of cars, 8th on back, probably the 4 tire takers, obviously because that is a longer pit stop. Because of that, you got to consider when, if, that for the matter is, if they need to come down and make it on the pit stop, the top off on fuel, because this thing, again, has that green flag look to it as it continues to still go.
Man, I'll tell you what, Devin, that's got me puzzling my brain here a little bit. If these guys came down and pitted around 38, 39, somewhere in the neighborhood of that, short of the halfway point, it makes you wonder if they were that close to running out of fuel right then and there to not cut this thing in half. So with that said, if this stays green, we're going to see another pit stop. I don't think anybody can save it.
No, and that's a long way. 42 laps. The track is 2.66 miles. That's, well over 100 miles on its own on a tank of gas. So most likely they're going to have to come down and make their pit stop and top off. And now again, because that they have taken on more or less than each other, it's not like a track where you can short pit, make up a little bit of time because you get fresh tires out there. While some guys are logging slower laps, there's no real tire fall off here at Talledega that affects your lap time per se. Obviously, you want to get a little bit of fresh rubber maybe to handle the car better in the draft. But it's going to come down to when and how long you can go, and if you can find somebody that'll pit with you at that time, again, if we do stay green.
If we do stay green, the big if. And with the separation that these cars got, the 3 different groups here, actually 4 different groups, if you want to count 4 cars as one group, or 3 cars as one group. Back here in 15th spot, we've got Luis Rodriguez being pushed by the 19 machine of Edison Lemon Jr., who's actually 3 laps down. And then we've got Stephen Herring caught up in that as well on the lead lap in 16th. So the little 3-car workathon there. But this second group is led by Jay Randall Watkins of the 77 cars. Now he'll separate from Stefan Marinac and let Marinac lead that group and see if they can't catch the front guys in front of them. They're about 4 seconds down.
And 17 guys on the lead lap. Frank Coons going to be the odd man out in this. Again, 17 guys. There's got to be one person. And it's that guy that sits 17th, Frank Coons, all on his own in no man's land. 27 seconds back from race leaders. Going to lose a lap. And suffer the same fate that Douglas Wyatt did. Douglas Wyatt, however, once he got lapped, he was able to blend in with traffic. He sits right behind the 66 of Harvey, who rides around in 10th. However, that is 4 seconds back. So if Frank Coons is able to catch up and stay in the draft, then maybe our leaders, that lead pack of cars, which has been extended to about 7 cars or so in that group up at the front of the field, if he can, when he loses his lap, stick with those guys, he would effectively be in front of Douglas Wyatt and in the lucky dog position if it were necessary. And then again, the 19 still sits in 19 of Edison Lehman Jr., who sits 3 laps down still after getting into the wall early on in the race after contact with Douglas Wyatt and being 3 laps down. It's almost safe to say, pretty sure it's safe to say that all of his hopes for this evening's race are gone, as a long way back of the way this race has been. I don't think he's going to get the necessary amount of cautions to get those laps back, and if he does, be it 3 laps down, I'm sure there'll be somebody that if there was a wreck would lose 1 lap in doing so, which would effectively take him out of that position. So tough break for the 19. He has a hope to maybe gain some positions if a couple guys wreck out, but not the night that he was looking forward to for sure.
So, Evan, a little top 7 draft breakaway here. A little second group action going on. A little third group action going on. A little fourth group action going on. And a little bit of pitting going on by the 48 car. Frank Coons stop and go there. So it could be his last stop for the evening. We're going to take a commercial break. I'm going to go get me one of these fat, big, juicy hot dogs that Talledega, Alabama always serves up hot, fresh, and ready. We'll see you folks just in a minute.
And back live here at Talledega Super Speedway, the pack now coming through the tri-oval, still at top speed as this green flag run has continued since the initial drop of the green flag. You're watching the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday nights live on MW Productions as we do week in and week out. This evening, the Quick Car War Eagle 84 at Talledega Quick Car Racing Products, the title sponsor for this evening's event. 223 miles were on the board when we started this thing. We have since passed the halfway point as we work down the back straightaway. Lap 52 of 84 right now. Current race leader is the 37 of Ben Burnett, just with a nose out in front of the 43 of Doug Roth, and a lot of lead changes and a lot of different leaders, as you would come to expect with a typical super speedway restrictor plate racetrack, and it has been exciting. Green flag pit stop split our field in half, first through 7th altogether, and then 8th to 12th another pack, and then 13th to 17th, or actually 13th to 16th rather, a 4-car pack. So we have really spread out, and effectively those guys 5 seconds back, you really need a caution. Over again, one thing that we talked about at the top of the show was only 19 cars starting this race has the possibility of going green all the way, and we have seen our fair share. Actually, we've seen an excessive amount of 3-wide racing when we had just passed the quarter mark in this race. Since then, things have calmed down slightly, but still nobody really lifting as the speeds remain high. As again now out of 4, it is going to be the 4 of CJ LeVere, who is going to hop back up, and he's going to regain the number 1 spot. 43 looks high. 4 kind of slides up a little bit to protect that position as we continue racing, this time by completing lap 53.
Oh yeah, I told you these hot dogs, man. Woo! 53 laps complete, Evan, and I've got half of my hot dog ate half of it on the 244 flights of stairs here at the big house of Talledega. You know, we saw Frank Coombs come down pit road, Evan, and the whole time I was sitting there thinking on my way to get my hot dog was, I wonder if that was his scheduled last stop. And then you got to wonder, when are the other guys going to come down? Are they really going to wait till 3 laps to go, 4 laps to go to try to come down and pit?
We've seen that in the past. And again, it may come down to a mixed strategy. We've kind of been divided into 3 groups, and then a couple of guys that have lost their laps and having a little bit of problems there. So 3 groups of cars could make different strategies. You got to think that maybe the guys out front spend less time on pit road, maybe to come in a little bit earlier. Who knows? We're going to really have to wait and see. That last time by, it was 30 laps to go in this evening's race. And again, green flag since the start of it all. And one of those cars that has been dominant, currently sitting P1, is the 4 of CJ LeVere. Definitely somebody that you need to keep an eye on when it comes down to decide who's going to walk away with this win. Again, CJ LeVere entering this evening 3 points ahead of Matt Lacrosse, and Matt Lacrosse sits on a bumper right now as we get a little bit of 3 wide in P4.
Currently still 16 drivers on the lead lap. Oh, buddy. I thought Ben Burnett and the 43 car Roth were going to get into it right there. Another position battle up front, a lead change. CJ LeVere, Matt Lacrosse was giving him a run for his money, and he'll lose the momentum off 4. Now, Simley to the lead off 4.
He's going to have it on the inside lane like we've seen him do so much this race, and he's going to swing up to the high side, get up in front of the 4, and that opens up the inside lane, possibly for the 26 of Jose Gonzalez. This group that was 5 seconds back, Stefan Marinak, discussing with those guys around him, positions 8 through 12. The range of 4.8 to 5.4 seconds back, and they gained a little bit of time, and Marinak kind of coaching these guys, trying to discuss over the radio that what kind of strategy they may have to use to try to catch these guys. However, it looks like Marinak and Harvey want to do it on their own, and a little bit of tandem drafting as they try to catch on up.
Trying to play catch up, and I don't know if they'll be able to do it. They've closed the gap at one point to 3.4 seconds. Now it's back to 5 seconds. So that 8th on back is pretty much burnt toast for now. But we could see a yellow fall at any moment. I mean, I've seen stranger things happen. You know, it's according to, you know, if just throwing this out there, you know, Frank could come over and say, hey, anybody got 20? I'll loop this thing right around in turns 1 for 20.
These guys have got to be, I mean, it's not like we're just riding around single file, and sure, that's what it is right now, up at the front of the field, but I mean, they've been racing side by side, swapping, trading, bumping, switching, all race long. It's been about an hour since, coming up on an hour here or so. In about 10 minutes, we would have been racing for an hour, non-stop. Can't be easy, and again, you just have one lapse in concentration. That quickly you can find yourself or end up putting somebody else in the inside wall. CG Lavere going to go to the high side, go for the number 1 spot, all the way back to the back end of this lead group as 3 wide as the 21 decides to use the middle Matt Lacrosse slides in line. And single file once again, this time Jose Gonzalez up at the number 1 spot.
Yeah, that number 1 spot, I tell you, that's the position to be in if you're Jose Gonzalez leading a lap here at Daytona Talledega, Mike. Quick car, by the way, Evan. Quick cars, racing products.
Yeah, we talked about that. The Quick Car War Eagle 84 this evening's race, obviously 84 laps, and we're starting to knock those off. And at about 5 laps, we will be coming up on 20 laps to go. And see that these guys, 8th on back, have closed it in from 4.8 to 4.2 seconds. Do they have enough time, and can they keep pushing and keep being as smooth as they need to try to catch this big single file train up the front of the field if they plan on having a shot at this win?
You know, you just said the critical word, you know, 24 laps to go this time by. Things might start getting dicey. I know there's 7 drivers up here that's hungry for a win. And, you know, someone's going to try to go after it here in a second. And it could force the issue of maybe someone getting out of line just ever so slightly. You know, you start to try to squeeze people a little bit more in the corners, trying to get that side draft, you know, and sometimes that can be the result of a caution.
Yeah, we have seen stranger things happen, for sure, and you take a look at, obviously, the trends of these races, and you think Talledega, you think Green White Checker, you think the big one. 19 cars, you can have a big one, but not when they're spread out the way we are right now. You can have a medium one, I guess you could call it. Again, these packs in about 7 cars at a time or so as they run on the racetrack right now. So, I mean, again, a caution could really fall at any point, and all this blabbering that we're doing about the strategy and all that could really get tossed out the window. And that's how quickly these races can change, and we've seen that happen in the past.
It can take just a matter of seconds to change a race. Currently, right now, we've got a great one. And like you mentioned earlier, these guys were kind of showboating a little bit, showing their little 3 wide, we can handle that type thing. And they went 3 wide, about 3 rows deep for about half a lap. And then we've just seen a mix of things since then. The green flag pit stops, everybody getting in okay. I don't think anyone got caught for speeding. Quick pit stops, different strategies, all that. Now we're going to get to see something even interesting. Man, I hope this green flag run still continues here. I want to see what these guys have planned for the green flag final pit stop. They will have to pit again, folks. They will have to. I don't think anybody can save fuel.
And that second group's coming. It's 3.3 seconds separating, or you want to calculate it, the 7th place car, the last car in the lead draft, Rich Jet, the first car in that second pack of cars, is the 24 of Marinac right now. And as they come by the stripe, we'll give you an accurate reading on that. And it is going to be about 3 seconds separating these guys, the lead group of these guys, to the tail end of the front guys, and that second group is really separated. It's only 3 cars. Marinak and Harvey drafting with each other, and LD Sarabia trying to hang on. He does have the 5 machine there, a lap machine of Douglas Wyatt. So not sure what happened to the rest of these guys, but guys like Brotherton and Schilling, 22-24 seconds back. I think they may have made their pit stops.
And yes, they have. I thought for a second that Jose and LeVere were going to pull down off pit road, but then I thought, well, they're going to speed if they do that. But it was not the case, as they're still out on the racetrack. I don't think that I think they may try to wait another maybe 10 laps here, Evan, to pit again, because you don't want to play your cards wrong here. You don't want to pit now with the amount of fuel you've got, and then a caution come out 3 laps after, and you're a lap down, or whatever the case may be. So I think they may stretch it out to maybe lap 75. I just don't think that they're going to wait until 3-4 laps to go to come down and pit. But we're going to think about that when we go to commercial break here. We're going to sit here and kind of ponder what's going to happen and give you an opportunity to ponder the same exact thing. And we'll see you folks in just a few minutes. We're going to a commercial break. You're watching the ITSR Twisted Cup Series, sponsored by XCO Sanitary Services and presented to you by MW Productions here live at Talledega.
Hi, I'm Todd Malmstrom, driver of the 75M Ford Mustang GT. This is what I do by night. And this is what I do by day. I sell new Fords, and I've got the best selection of used inventory that you could ask for. Come see me down here at Central Ford.
Are you tired of getting hassled at the dealerships? Looking for a salesman that knows what he's talking about? Are you looking to buy a new or used car? Then look no further! Sexton Ford Moline, Illinois has the biggest selection of new or pre-owned vehicles, and Todd Malmstrom is the salesman you want. Todd is an expert when it comes to cars, and if you don't believe me, then you should see him race on a Sunday night. With his top-notch professional customer service and expertise, he will make sure you go home in the right car for the right price. No hassle, no haggling. Todd will make sure that you're happy when you leave the lot with your new or pre-owned vehicle. Remember, Sexton Ford may be the talk of the town, but so is Todd Malmstrom. If you're in the market for a new ride, then buy one from a winner. Todd Malmstrom at Sexton Ford Moline.
Welcome back live here where we've got a lead change here at the ITSR Twisted Cup Series live on Tuesday night. Ben Burnett going to take over the lead with Jose Gonzalez pushing him past CJ LeVere. LeVere currently with no help at the moment, although Matt Lacrosse is there, and Rich Jett now lurking to the outside in turn 3 here, trying to work on the 21 of Matt Lacrosse. Scott Simley also in the mix of things there. And don't look now, they're pitting. breaking off down pit road. CJ LeVere brings them in. Oh, he's nearly going to get hit. Wow.
He
Gosh.
just locked him up.
And Matt Lacrosse did a great job of locking them up too.
Yeah, he nearly got into the back of him, and I don't know if that 21 was able to slow down in time. Again, they came in really hot and heavy. I think he was able to do it. They are on pit road. A lot of discussion. It looks like fuel only for the majority of these guys, and they're out.
Wow. Matt Lacrosse is going to win that race on pit road. LeVere nearly spinning it coming out, trying to get the hammer down on it. He'll stay in that second position, if you will. Scott Slimley's there too, the 24 Marinac as well. Doug Roth is going to be the lone gunman right there all by himself. So those guys will tandem up as the second pack's down, and Brian Harvey spinning down into the entrance of pit road. Oh, and it nearly gets collected by the 11 machine of LD Sarabia. Brian Harvey spins it around, coming down into pit road. No caution, no caution. But gosh, that's going to hurt his time there.
And that's pretty much going to do him in. Now we got three guys that need a pit. Rich Jett, Jose Gonzalez, and Ben Burnett. Ben Burnett and Jose Gonzalez hooked up the 37-26. Rich Jett, the third wheel, trying to hang on to their draft. They come down this time. It's lap 72 of 84. These guys back up the speed. Matt Lacrosse on back. Already made their stops. So that leaves you with LD Sarabia, who leaves right now. So it's fourth on back. Here they come. Burnett coming down pit road. Real aggressive entry by Rich Jett. Oh! He looked like he was going too fast at that first line. He was going about 10 miles an hour over the 36 of Rich Jett. And
he got caught. He's
speeding down the pit road, trying to just get to his stall, and just like that, 66 or 36 rather. He's gonna see it slip away from that mistake.
Yep, that's when you know you're done. And the thing is, though, here, Evan, is that don't do anything here that's going to get you to have to come back down pit road now. Don't speed out, to where you have to come back down and pit during the green flag, because, look, 72 laps have just been completed. So there's 12 laps to go. We could see a caution here, and Rich Jett would be saved by that. So don't do anything here that's going to cost you any more than what it already has.
And Ben Burnett, as he gets up the speed, there goes the freight train as those guys chug on by him. Jose Gonzalez also getting left in the dust, and CJ LeVere and Matt Lacrosse, the top two of the championship. The top two for so much of this race are going to be in those numbers 1 and 2 positions, and they are pushing, trying to scoot away from those guys behind him. They got the 68 Assembly not really hooked up, but Stefan Marinac there as well. I think it's going to be a 2 sets of tandems. Going to be trying to race this sucker out unless we see a caution. This next time by, going to be 10 laps to go.
Closing in. The front 4 are all hooked up. Ben Burnett, nobody around him except for Gonzalez, who's now catching him here. Jose in the draft there that he's got of Ben Burnett. Lap car John Wilco to the outside here to the leaders. And this could be I'll tell you what, Evan, let's go ahead and take our quick last commercial break here. Let's get one last one in here and prepare for the finale here of things as we're coming to 10 laps to go. This time by CJ LeVere will have 10 fingers in the air from the flagman. We'll return after the messages.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks and terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
DGVertec.net's primary goal is to provide you with a successful website presence. They have purpose-built their web servers successfully throughout the years. The stress testing has been done so that they can provide you with an enhanced web hosting technology that they design for using future standards today for tomorrow. They offer 24/7 support for all web hosting plans. Their team answers support tickets 24/7. So if you have a problem at any time, an agent will be more than happy to help you. If you're not satisfied with your service within 7 days, then you can get a full money back guarantee with a 99 uptime guaranteed as well, with plans for shared hosting starting at just $2.95. It's clear to see why DGVertec should be your choice for web hosting. Just go to www.dgvertec.net today, your web hosting solution.
Back live here, where we're closing in, knocking on the door, and knocking on wood at the same time, perhaps, Evan, that we don't see a caution, but some of the guys would probably love to see one, but I'm sure Lacrosse, CJ LeVere, Marinac, and Simley would like to see themselves at least in the top 4 of things here and have a shot here, just these 4 drivers.
Yeah, that'd be their preferred way to duke it out, I'm sure, because you can put a little bit more strategy into it. You can almost set the other guys up if there's 4 that you're dealing with. When they're in a big pack of 10 cars, it's a crapshoot. Just pin the gas and point it for a hole and see what happens. But this, if we don't see the caution, and I actually think if we do see a caution, pretty much from here on out, it would end the race effectively, as this time by, it is going to be 5 laps to go. And so close it in on it. You got 4 drivers. Again, you can set up, you can lay back, you can try to suck up to the guy, make a pass, pull a slide job, whatever you want to do. It puts this, when we got 4 guys, I think it's going to put it more in the driver's hand as opposed to who's going to walk away with this one. And it is side by side in turns 3 and 4, coming off the corner inside lane with the advantage. That's Stefan Marinac. The outside, though, that's pushing CJ LeVere with help from the 20 Matt Lacrosse. LeVere could lead this lap once again. 4 laps to go.
You caught it, 4 laps to go. The mounting charge to the outside. Look at Simley laying back a little bit from Marinac here. I think these guys got to separate. If they could separate here, get hooked back up possibly. Or Simley, he may have enough coldness in the engine. Oh, look, they're going to separate. And now Marinac, it's going to be left up to him to push Simley around these 2 guys if they can get back together quickly, as now the front 2, LeVere and Lacrosse, separate. Look at that. Now both teams separated here. All 4 drivers separated.
And again, it's gamesmanship here. They're trying to set themselves up so they're in the position that they want to be in. When it comes down to it, 3 laps to go this time by, and it is all the top 4. Safest spot right now is the number 1 spot because, again, if caution flies between now and a white flag, we're done. You're going to victory lane. Here we go with the charge on the outside lane. 68, Scott Simley coming with the help of Stefan Marinac. They're going to try to get across those guys on the inside who just now get hooked up, led by the 21 of Matt Lacrosse, second in the championship standings. CJ Lavere first in the championship standings, running just behind him.
The only side-by-side racing on the racetrack is just these two groups of leaders here, or the first group of leader here, the two rows here, the side-by-side. That's the only racing side-by-side. So, Evan, if we're going to see a caution, it's got to more than likely come from this little battle here. As Simley now pushes the nose of the Ford to the front here. Look at this, 3 Chevys and a Ford up top. Look at Simley way up high as Marinac deeps down low here. And now Simley will try to get in line and push him here. 2 laps to go at the line.
He's going for the block as we go through 3 and 4, coming to the white flag this next time by 21. Matt Lacrosse on the inside, the 4 of Lavere behind him. Looks like it's going to be single file off the corner as the 24 doesn't have the speed. No, he does get a little bit, get side by side with CJ coming to the white.
It looks like Simley's just letting that car air and breathe and breathe and breathe, and I think he's going to get up right behind the deck lid of the 24 of Marinac. Look at that, Marinac side by side with Lavere coming into turn 2. Coming off the corner, Simley's still nowhere to be found on anyone's back bumper. He's trying to find an avenue, but it's not there. There's the 3 cars out front on the back stretch.
Lots of blocking down the back. 24 is on the outside. The 4 has nowhere to go. Lavere feels boxed in. 2 wide, 2 rows deep into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Advantage to Matt Lacrosse. On the inside, the 4 gets into him, gets a little bit sideways. Can the outside lane get a run? Coming off the corner, coming to the checkered flag now. Down the short chute and into the triangle. Oh, Matt Lacrosse. Lavere stays there. The 68 desperately trying to push Stefan Marinac. They're not going to get there in time. Matt Lacrosse going to get it by 2/100ths of a second and takes the checkered flag in a quick car, War Eagle 84.
Whew. Man, I know those guys, their palms are sweaty. Man, what a race. The top 5 here, Matt Lacrosse, Stefan Marinac, CJ Lavere, Scott Simley, and Ben Burnett. Scott Simley coming at the last second to push Stefan Marinac possibly to the win, but not close enough. He'll finish second, Marinac will. And folks, we're going to go.
And that's great right there, real quick. Matt Lacrosse, again, we talked about the championship standings. CJ Lavere leading tonight by 3 over Matt Lacrosse, and CJ pushes Matt Lacrosse to the victory. And that's good teamwork right there.
It really is. And we've seen teamwork all night. We've seen great racing all night. Guys, caution free. 84 laps of green flag racing here. The ITSR Twisted Cup Series presented to you by MW Productions. We're going to step away, take our last quick commercial break, and return to post-race interviews here at Dega. back live where we just had one heck of a race for the win, where Matt Lacrosse would win it. Matt Lacrosse would win it. Stefan Marinac would finish second. CJ Lavere would finish third. And CJ, what a race towards the end. I didn't expect this one to go 84 laps of green flag racing, but it sure did, and what a race it was.
It was an outstanding race. All the drivers did an awesome job, and it was all my team there at the end, so it was pretty good. The four of us there, I didn't know kind of who to push or what to do.
I'll tell you what, man, coming into tonight's race, leading the point standings and having it kind of slip away there at the last second from Matt Lacrosse, who is just 3 points behind you coming into tonight's race. It'll be interesting to see where the point system shakes up after that. And of course, Stefan Marinac finishing second, and he's third in point standings, just 12 back. So we got a top 3 battle here that is shaping up going into Kansas next week.
Yeah, it's a really big points battle, and we're going into the last 2 races of this first segment. It's pretty much up to grabs for anybody, one mistake and it's over.
Absolutely, and of course, CJ, as always, anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's event?
I gotta thank Axel Sanitary. I gotta thank Hippie's Paint Shop. Also gotta thank Quick Car for sponsoring tonight's race and throughout the season the races they have sponsored. Congratulations to Matt on winning the $20 for going green to checker and win the race. Congratulations to Stefan for winning the Quick Car package, and thanks to all my drivers. See you next week at Kansas.
Absolutely. There you have it, folks. CJ Lavere, the number 4 machine, picks up 3rd spot tonight. Now moving to the number 24 car, Stefan Marinac. Stefan, you come into tonight's event again, 12 points back from the leader. It's Talledega. It's anybody's ball game. 84 laps, green flag towards the end. Did you think Simley was going to be able to get you there?
I don't know. The cars were running really hot. I could only go half a lap behind another car before my engine would start blinking. And when I was riding behind him, I noticed it was really hard to catch up to his bumper. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But he gave me a good push going into turn 3, and just CJ and Matt had more momentum on the bottom side.
And of course, Stefan, as CJ said, 2 races remain after tonight. 2 races remain. We've got next week, we've got Kansas, and then we head on off to Charlotte. So 2 races left. Are those type tracks your favorite?
I guess so. I like the 1.5 miles, but it should be interesting. I have to play catch up those 2 races, and they have to hold me off. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And then last but not least, anybody you'd like to thank and who makes it happen for that team?
Yeah, I want to thank Quick Car for sponsoring the race. I want to thank Axo Sanitary, ITSR, and Hippie's Paint Shop.
Absolutely. There you have it, folks. Stefan Marinac finishing second tonight. And now, on to the party, where, Matt, I just got word that you're just 2 points back now. So coming into tonight's race, you're 3 back. Winning the race, you're 2 back. Man, I tell you what, but congratulations, you won at Talledega.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't have been there without CJ and all those guys up front there for the longest time. I'm on a great team. We were just breathing our cars and giving each other room and pushing a little bit here and there for all those laps. And I think there was 6 of us up there in Rich Jet. So I had a good time, and it came down to that final pit stop, and I came out with CJ, Stefan, and Scott, and me and CJ were just breathing our cars, flipping every now and then, flipping every other couple laps, and with 2 to go, I was going to let CJ jump out in front of me, and I was going to start pushing him. I was going to push him to the win or up as far as I could, and he had a radio malfunction, and he didn't get across to me that he needed to switch, so I just stayed out there because I didn't know what he had planned. So By the time he fixed his radio, it was already to the point where it was one to go, so there's no point trying to switch then. But yeah, thanks to CJ, I wouldn't have been able to do it without him, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and of course, Talledega, you know, anyone's race, but you have to have the teammate there to help you out with that. Now, Kansas, a different kind of track. How do you feel about going into Kansas and closing out the segment 1 of the season here in the ITSR Twisted Cup Series at Charlotte?
I like Charlotte. I'm not really too great at Kansas. It's a newer track on the iRacing service, so I haven't really turned many laps there. I'm going to have to do that this week or going into next week, but I feel fairly confident. The points battle is going to be tight with CJ and Stefan and all those guys like that up there every week, so I just plan on just trying to have a good time and being up front, because that's about all I can do.
Absolutely. And Matt, last but not least, as always, anyone you'd like to thank and who makes it happen for that 21 crew?
I'd like to thank Quick Car Racing Products, Hippie's Paint Shop, you guys up at NW Productions, you guys do an awesome job. Exo Sanitary, the league, ITSR, it's a great league. We just need a little more people. I think it would make it a little more fun. But yeah, I'm just happy to get the win here for a race sponsored by my sponsor, so it works out.
There you have it, folks. Matt Lacrosse, the 21 machine, taking home the checkered flag here at Talledega, and a little bit of a cash bonus, too. For me, Michael Keaton, Evan Pasoko, and Michael Woolley. We'll see you next Tuesday night live at Kansas.